Is there a red light on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first question is, Josie, really, obviously your life sort of changed overnight, really. You went from being a healthy 17-year-old, loved to ride horses and stuff, to a completely different life. How did you sort of deal with that initially? Like, you know, you wake up the next day, someone totally different?
I guess when I don't remember the accident at all. And I was sort of in and out of consciousness for a while.
Yeah.
I have sort of a patchy memory of like being in hospital and just being a bit disorientated and just thinking, you know, kept asking the same questions like what's happened, and then obviously a few weeks, months down the line, I guess it gradually sinks in. You don't really fully understand. I didn't really fully understand what had happened and what the implications of what had happened to me. And you just, of course, it's a complete life change, and it's very difficult to accept what's happened, especially being at 17. You know, you're just beginning your life really, and your teenage years, and becoming independent and stuff. So then to go back to sort of almost being almost completely dependent on other people, that was, it's hard to accept, but I had a really good support from family and friends, and they just helped me, you know, come through it really, and obviously meeting other people in a similar situation, for them to sort of say everything, you know, everything's going to be fine. Obviously you're going to be faced with a lot of challenges, and it's going to be hard, but if you put the hard work in, then you can achieve anything. And I've always been quite stubborn, and always been quite ambitious, and I just from the very beginning I just thought, I want to make the most of what's happened, really.
So what were the first steps towards taking it? Like, how did you adapt to sort of life in a wheelchair? And
it's just it's quite a slow process. Like, it's just like a massive learning curve. Like it's learning things, like everything again, almost like it's like being back to being a child. And it's just learning how to, use what function you have, what function I've got to become fully independent again. That was my main goal when I first left hospital, was to become completely independent again and get my own place and that sort of thing. So that was my initial. And I went back to college and finished my A levels, and just to sort of, just to lead as normal life as I could, really. I'd always been quite sporty. Like, I'd ridden horses since I was 4, and that was my main sport. So I wanted to get back into fitness and sport, and sport's a great way of like meeting new people, and especially being in hospital for so long. I got so weak because I was on bed rest for a long time. I just lost all my muscles, just went into atrophy, and to try and gain some strength back helped massively in my recovery. So you went to
Cardiff University, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's right, and you were doing something sport related there.
I was doing neuroscience.
Right.
I was studying neuroscience. Before medicine, I was always quite a practical person, and I wanted to be a horse dentist.
Right.
So when this happened, I thought, well, a horse dentist is out the window, really.
Yeah.
When I finished my A levels, I didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't really. I'd started seeing this great guy, physio / gym instructor, and I've been working with him for pretty much since even when I was in hospital,
Yeah.
when I was going home for weekends. And I knew I wanted to get back into sport, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I thought, typical, you know, when you finish A-levels, what do you do? You go to university.
Yeah,
I loved living in Cardiff, but I sort of quickly found out that I knew that just being at university for the sake of being at university wasn't for me. I wanted to do something, either get back into sport or do something more practical, and that's when I started playing rugby.
Was that where you met? Was that where you started playing rugby at Cardiff University?
Yeah.
How did you find out about that, Josie? Because it's not widely publicised as a
No.
disabled sport. That's
No.
one thing I've come across.
Yeah, not at all. And even in the spinal units, they don't really.
Push
I think
it.
it's absolutely bizarre that they don't push sport as much as they do.
Yeah.
I mean, in spinal units, there are a lot of older people with spinal injuries. There aren't, in the grand scheme of things, there aren't a massive amount of younger people that have injuries. And there are a few, obviously, but so I was quite surprised that they didn't promote sport as a way of getting fit and getting back your independence and things like that. And I actually when I was in hospital, I met a chap called Alan Ash. So he introduced me to the sport. And I thought that sort of planted the seed, really.
Yeah.
So when I went to university, I knew there was a team in Cardiff. So I literally just Googled wheelchair rugby in Cardiff and got in contact with the secretary. And went to a training session, and that was it, really.
What was it about wheelchair rugby that appealed? Because obviously horse riding is quite an individual sport. Team sport.
I think the fact that rugby is specifically designed for my disability. Yeah. And when I first went there, because there were pretty much everybody was in a similar situation, and obviously they were, years down the line from where I was. So it was quite inspirational to see them and to learn things and to see, actually I can live independently. It might take a year or so more than where I was at the time.
There's not a lot of people find themselves in your situation. Is that one of the things that was the main appeal of meeting other people exactly the same?
I think so. I think it really was, and they couldn't do more for me. They were just so helpful and just so encouraging as well. They were like, you could, obviously rugby's a mixed sport and not many female players play it. So I think when they saw me come along, they just thought, oh my God, we've got to get her. They couldn't do more, really, and they couldn't be more helpful.
So how was it? You must have picked it up very quickly, because I was reading that you're the first. Are you the only girl who was on the team? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I was the first female to be.
First female.
Yeah, to represent GB at Paralympics.
Yeah.
There are a few. There are a few females that play within the country.
Yeah.
There's maybe one or two that are now in sort of development GB. But I did. I picked it up quickly, and I think because I was really enjoying it, I put all my effort into it. Yeah. I just, within a few months I started playing. I'd given up university, which I don't regret, and I just put all my time into it. Yeah. Put everything into it.
What was the Paralympics like as an experience then? Must have been.
Oh, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Really, of my life so far, the best experience of my life. Yeah. It was absolutely amazing, and I'd only been playing for a couple of years. Yeah. And when I first got selected for the GB long squad, I never expected to qualify. To be selected for Beijing. Yeah. So my goals were always for London. I thought London's a realistic goal. Yeah. I was quite shocked when I did get selected. Yeah. I love the fact we were part of a team. Yeah. And we just spent obviously with the lead up to Beijing and being in China, the players and the staff as well, we just became really close. We were such a little tight-knit unit. Yeah. you know.
Yeah.
It was like this little. We were like, compare it to, we were like a little family of ants. We'd all just like follow each other around. Like, it was really funny.
Yeah. Did you get to see much of Beijing while you were there, or?
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. The rugby competition was at the end of the games.
Right.
The final was the day before the closing ceremony.
Right.
So we didn't get to.
Yeah. I suppose if you focused until the very end.
Yeah.
Then...
Yeah, and we were obviously our holding camp was in Macau.
Right.
There's not really a lot to see in Macau other than casinos.
Yeah.